What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for Coolin with Jay. As always, cinematic walk around and interviewing of my friend and the Nicky Hayden tribute V4S. So that I will pop up on the screen above. In today's video, I figured I'd start off 2021 with a popular topic which I have discussed numerous times, is me starting off on a 1000cc motorcycle and kind of my 3-year, kind of review, kind of look back on it, decisions and all that kind of stuff, and, give my opinion on what it was like to start on a 1000cc or liter bike, or both, depending on how you want to phrase that, and kind of experience. All right, guys, let's get into this video.
Coolin with Jay, Coolin with Jay, Coolin with Jay, Coolin with Jay, we coolin, 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 coolin with Jay, Coolin with Jay, Coolin with Jay, Coolin with Jay, we coolin, coolin, coolin.
Nothing's really been changed, altered, guys, in the past 3 or 4 months, 5 months. Everything's still the same. So I just had my annual service. So they go over everything, brakes, pads, they oil the chain. I also they cleared out all the brake fluid and clutch fluid, because this was all darker. So I got that flushed, and brand new chicken strip tire. Look at these guys, brand new. That ran me $1,042 for all of that, and I need gas. What's it been like starting on a 1000cc liter bike, 3 years later? And I can tell you guys, I still don't think, for me personally, it was a bad decision. I don't feel bad about the decision at all. It's been great, and here's why. For those of you who want the quick point, oh Lord, you don't want this guy. Don't do it. The cliff note is, guys, to it is essentially, it's really up to your finances, what you can afford. That's number one. It doesn't matter what bike you want, guys. If you can't afford it, and what I mean is, like, it just cost me, $1,000 to essentially, get my bike in perfect working order. Now, granted, in the small scheme of things, in the small scheme of things, guys, that's not that much over a year. So for the entire year, it cost me essentially, wait, I did that right? Okay. Over the course of a year, it cost me between $1,000 to maintain my bike. So realistically, that's not a lot of money if you think about how many oil changes your cars have and routine maintenance and stuff. That's not that bad, but still $1,000. So it all comes down to, number one, is finances. Can you afford it? Stuff like that. Like, it didn't affect me financially to spend $1,000. Obviously, who wants to spend $1,000? It's not like I'm like, oh, I can't really afford that, let me pull a credit card. Like, no, I was able to pay it straight up and move on. So that's number one, is looking at the bike, maintenance, can you afford it, can you upkeep it, cost, also parts. That's another thing that people don't think about. Like, something breaks on this, COVID or not, something breaks on my Ducati, it could be months for that part's in. I mean, Hondas, Kawasaki, your Japanese little bikes, much easier to find product and parts, and not just for service, but also for upkeep. I'm sorry, for aftermarket as well. Like, I don't think you're gonna find an exhaust online, slip-on exhaust, for under, let's say, $2,000, $1,800 is a stretch to find a exhaust, a slip-on, which equivalent, you can go get you I can't even pronounce the name, Yoshimura exhaust for like, you know, $300-400 probably. Whereas my bike, that's not the case at all. Like I gotta spend, you know what I'm saying? This exhaust, this exact exhaust is $2,700 brand new if I was to buy it. Now granted, I didn't purchase it because of the collaboration with Competition Works, but the point is $2,700 for the exhaust you see below me. So they're not cheap. So, you know, expensive to own, some bikes are expensive to maintain and upgrade. So you have to look at all of these factors when you buy a bike. It's not just about I like it or I want it or it looks sexy or attractive. You gotta, you know, be able to financially afford it. That's number one. Number two, I think it's all between the head. In short, it's really based down to, guys, about your mentality and how you approach motorcycles. Because I don't like when people get on YouTube channels and talk about, you know, oh, you know, don't start on this, don't start on that. There's a point, but, and then they try to say, well, because you started on 1,000, less experience, or you started on 1,000, so you're more acceptable. No. And here's why. You can't scientifically prove it, because my response is where your facts. See, not opinions, but where are your actual facts to base this on. Where can you find an actual article that says by accidents in the entire US or whatever country you're from that people on a 1,000cc bike are more acceptable to crashes with less experience? See, you can't prove that, right? Because there's so many factors. And that's what I said in my previous video, is there's too many factors that go into play into an accident that have really nothing to do with a power. Because that's essentially the conversation. The conversation is engine size versus skill level versus should you start on it. But I think they're coming at it from the wrong angle, my personal opinion. And my personal opinion has nothing to do with the size of the engine, how many cc's it has, any of that. It's all about based on your maturity and if you can handle it. Perfect example. I would not give the 21-year-old version of me this bike. I wouldn't do it. Because I want to show off, impress women, you know, get numbers, you know, try to do all the stupid stuff that, you know, young men, even myself, I'm still young, in my 30s, but kids like to do. And that's the point, right? Like you see those cars in coffee where the guy in the Mustang comes out of cars in coffee, spins out and totals his car. You know, there's just, again, there's just maturity level as you get older, typically, you start to have. And then with that, you don't want to, you know, do as reckless stuff as you did. Not saying people still aren't reckless, but it's just different. And that's, I think, the approach or my response when people ask what bike, is you have to really sit down and ask yourself, without any experience, can you take it slow on something that can kill you quicker? Because that's what it is. Yes, it can 100% get you in trouble much faster than a 600 or 250, obviously. But again, using me as an example, that didn't matter. It didn't matter how much, to me it didn't matter how powerful the bike was. I took it slow. I got used to the bike, used to the power, used to leaning, you know. But guys, it was almost 8 months before I even went into full power mode. 8 months. I'm not saying to tell you to wait 8 months. I'm just trying to tell you, like, I was in no rush. You see what I'm saying? I took my time with learning. Now, from a track perspective of being able to fully lean over and understanding, you know, because on one point I did start playing devil's advocate. I did start on a bike that has, you know, auto blipping, you know, upshift, downshift, seamless, you know. So no, I didn't get to get good at, like, you know, shifting, if you want to call it manually or on my own, and, you know, and rev matching. Like, so there are some cheats. So to be fair, there are some things I didn't learn that I kind of skipped over by having a leader bike starting off. But again, the question isn't about that. The question is about, can you do it or should you do it? And my question is, it's not really a question of should you or shouldn't you. It's more of a question of can you mentally and financially. And if your answer to those questions are yes, then get whatever bike you want. Because at the end of the day, it's a toy. For You know, for us in America, I can't speak for other countries, but for us in America, typically a bike is your means of fun, of recreation, of going out with your friends and, you know, tearing up roads. So with that being said, you know, at that point, why are you buying a bike for functionality when in a sense it's supposed to be enjoyment? And that's where it gets vague, because trying to tell people what bike they should get based on A, B, and C, well, it's based on personal opinion. You know, at the end of the day, they all go fast. Most of them now have rider aids and I'm baked in to them, especially with 1000cc guys. You got many more rider aids, and someone that's going to say, well, that doesn't make you a good rider. But see, again, that's shifting the focus. The focus isn't just starting on 1000 make you a better rider. The question was, can you start on 1000cc bike and, you know, get adequate, comfortable with it, and have plenty of experience? And to that question, the answer is yes. So those are two separate questions that people in arguments like to add multiple different topics in one argument. No, stick to the topic. The topic is, can you start on a 1000cc bike? Yes. Should you? Maybe. Depends. Like I said, are you mature? Are you responsible with the money, the financial part of it, with having something like that between your legs, with, you know, when your buddy calls you in your first week of having the bike and wants to go rip canyons, and you're trying to go $180 down some curvy road and smash into a wall, the argument is going to be, well, was it the bike that killed him, or was it his lack of maturity that killed him? And see, that's what I think is the bigger question, is when you see all these bike crash compilations. Like, I remember the one just recently, guys, it was kind of funny but sad, where the guy is trying to race, like, I think a Skyline GTR on the freeway, and like flips it. Like, he pulls so much throttle, he completely flips the bike, and I think hits the car too. But so the question with that, was it his lack of experience? Was it his maturity? Was it the 1000cc bike? Because he couldn't have wheelied that hard with a 250. You see what I'm saying? So honing in on why becomes kind of, you know, diluted in a sense, because it's hard to really narrow home on what was the exact reason that caused the accident. And I think, like I said, because of that, I think we're due people who are getting into motorcycles a disjustice by trying to tell them don't start on a 1000cc bike, because what that's insinuating is you can't do it. No, you can do it. It's been done, not just by me, but plenty of people have started on 1000cc bike. I'm not the only person who's doing it. I mean, one of the few that's actually MotoVlogged it from the very beginning, which, like, you can watch my channel, guys, and see me go through the experience. I wasn't starting off going 180 miles an hour on my bike. I feel more comfortable with it now than I did before, for sure. Oh, it's getting cold now. I'm gonna get home. Anyway, guys, that's my yap on this topic. Time to head home before the weather. It said 5% chance of rain, but in Oregon, dude, it will change on you in an instant. And yeah, I want to skip as much of that rain as I can. So anyway, guys, as always, thank you for Coolin with Jay. Hey, man, if you have questions about this whole 1000cc, man, watch my videos. You'll get to watch me go. That's why I started my channel, man, was to go through the experience. So it's not really necessarily all encompassing in one video. It's multiple videos over a span of time that's shown, you know, it can be done. Obviously, very, very blessed and thankful that men upstairs been watching over me, because, you know, it could have for sure happened. And I'm sure there were plenty of instances where I was very close, you know. But again, that's again just why I say, when people start putting in their opinion on you shouldn't because of this, that's either assuming they know something, or they're basing off of facts they can't prove. Because unless you can look at a person's mind and go down to the nitty-gritty of why they had the accident and why whatever happened, you're just speculating, and speculating is not fact. So let's stick to facts. Facts are, you financially have to be able to afford it. And insurance, forget about that, insurance as well, for the insurance cost. And then the fact is, can you be a mature enough person to go into your garage and see that 1000cc beautiful machine and say, you know what, as much as I love it, I respect it, and I'm going to take my time, impatient, and eventually work my way up to being, because guys, I plan on going to motorcycle riding school this summer, barring some COVID issues, and learning how to ride on the track. So I'm gonna get more experience. Still, this class is from BMW, and it's on a BMW S1000RR. So I'm still learning on a leader bike. So, and again, I'm not saying we'll go around after this be able to drag me on the freeway. No, I'm just saying I understand my limitations still. See, even after 3 years, I'm not 100% confident. I'm still humble enough to know I still have a lot to learn, and because of that, I still want to learn. So starting on a 1000cc bike and stopping the learning is, I think, where the miscommunication is, because then people are just assuming, well, you're just riding around the freeway, you're not really learning anything. True, but if you start 1000 and then slowly work your way up, and then also take classes, training, go to the track days and get better, then what's the argument at that point? And there is no argument. See, that's my point. So it was never about the 1000cc bike. It was more about handling the situation like anything in life, whether it's loss of family, loved ones, financial death in the families, losing your job, wife, sickness. All it is how you handle the situation, not the situation, because everybody goes through something every single day of the week. It's all on how you handle it and your problem-solving skill. That's your number one. Problem-solving, situations, curves. Anyway, enough of me yapping on. Thank you for cooling with Jay, and I'll see you on the next video.